John, you must be pleased with Bradford's performance today, that win over Toulouse by 19 points to 12.
Yeah, massive raps to the boys. Worked really hard. To go behind so early when we were so dominant for long periods of the game, and just to wrestle it back. And they looked a bit lost for answers, which were pleasing. They looked really good indeed. Scrambled really well, and it's 3 from 4 now, so I'm sure Freddie's really happy.
What does it mean, even at this early stage in the season, to have won 3 on the bounce and effectively take points off Halifax, Featherstone, and then Toulouse, playoff chasing opponents?
Well, over a long course of a year, we've beat teams now that are probably going to be in there or there and abouts, and not only getting points on the board early, but just a psychological blow on suffering a defeat against a team and then having to play them again. It can pay dividends when it comes to trapdoor football, or when it comes to playoffs at the end of the year. There's that gnawing thought at the back of the mind where we've lost to these before. If they have to come back to Odsal, it's a tough place to come, and that's what they're going to get. Eamon's
highlighted the attitude, the connectivity of you, the players, and that effort. Is that something you've spoken and focused about?
No, it's just, I think it boils down to just being, we're just a good group of blokes. Everybody gets on with each other. There's no small groups, there's no divide. We all do stuff together. Everybody enjoys each other's company. And I think when it comes to backs against the wall on a game day, you're always going to work harder for your mate. And I think you can, especially with some of the situations we put ourselves in today, and how we dealt with it, I think you could quite clearly see people were going above and beyond to work hard for one another. So thrilled for the boys, and it's just another massive result, especially when we've got so many people still injured.
Does that excite you that there were still errors and set restarts and penalties conceded, that there's still noticeable improvement in that Bradford side?
Yeah, you're never going to get a perfect game of rugby league over the course of 80 minutes, but I think in the games I've played, I didn't play the Wakefield game, but the 3 games that I've played in, we've come under spells of adversity, and it's always a sign of a good side where they can deal with difficult situations, weather the storm, and then sometimes we're turning it into points the next set, and it's really demoralising for teams. So big raps to the boys, so you're just really proud of them.
Round 1, Lee Gaskell does his hamstring. You obviously get the nod from him, and O'Carroll, you've played in that standoff role. Talk us around that, because you've not really looked at a place. You and Jordan are certainly, to my eye, it's a very blossoming partnership.
Yeah, we were so many injuries early on. Lee Gaskell, young Mossy, and then me and Eamon had a real honest chat, and we have a chat all the time, and I just said, I won't really. We've got a real tough start. If you look at the first 5 or 6 fixtures, realistically, with all the people missing at the beginning, I don't think people had to give us much props. Maybe we'd have got 1 or 2 wins, and I just said to it, I've filled in before, and my job's just to help Jordan in the game. I'll organise things, talk, shout at people, tell him what to do, and he can just focus on the good bits that he's good at. So, it seems to work, and I'm more than just happy to put my hand up and take the responsibility. If it don't go to plan, it's my fault, and I'm happy to accept that. And I just think just as somebody who can calm us down and whatever else, we've just managed to guide us through games, and it seems, funny enough, it seems to work.
And I think from your performance today, obviously you've been named at standoff, but you've still been coming up with those important carries, like you're in your natural back row position.
Yeah, not much changes. We're just adapting as we go. I'll be honest, I'm not an out and out average halfback, but I can get in and help the lads out of the back. George Defoe carries great for us. His back 5 have been really good, getting us out of trouble, and more than happy. If I'm when you get used to defending it middle and you're tired, it's a luxury when you're standing so far wide. Don't get me wrong, you're having to make better reads and get man on man, but I treat it as a bit of a rest, and I'm used to just being in the thick of it. So I'm more than happy to just get in and take a carry. It's not foreign for me.
Do you think the rest of the league, people will be thinking now, Bradford have won again? You know, perhaps, you know, as you said, with that tough run of fixtures to start with, you might be surprising a few.
I think I'm not sure. You know, if you look at a lot of the results early on, I think anybody can beat anybody. If you're not going to turn up and have a real dig, you know, and I think Toulouse felt that last week with a surprising loss at home to Swinton, and it definitely looked like today there was a reaction from them, but you know, we managed to deal with it and ultimately take the 2 points. And you know, depending on results tomorrow, you know, how it goes with the unpredictable league, we know we could be there and thereabouts.
York next week, the message is obviously going to be to keep this momentum going and deliver another consistent performance.
Yeah, we've you know, since this peculiar halfback partnerships sort of happened, we've just really tried to focus on keeping things simple, doing the basics right, and really focusing on getting to end of sets and things like that, and just turning the screw on teams. You know, we're not playing the most attractive rugby league, but it's effective. So I think just from our perspective, keeping the core of the team week to week is a big thing. Early on, you don't want to be chopping and changing too much, but you know, depending on injuries and things like that. But you know, it'll just be the same again. It'll be the same again. It'll be the same game plan, and it'll be the same amount of effort, and it'll be up to York if they can deal with it or not.
Obviously, you've played in quite a few strong sides the last few years, John. Where does this rank, this current Bulls squad, in terms of what you've played in relation to quality and, let's say, enthusiasm?
It's exciting. You know, I met Freddie and Jason at the beginning of the season, and they told me what the ambitions for the Bulls were this year. I went with my wife down to Tom. They showed us around. We had a chat, and you know, I'm not one of these people who just likes to sort of plod along. I have to compete, or it's not worth doing. So you know, there was a real big emphasis on, you know, the Bulls are on an upward trajectory this year, and even more possibly into the future. We don't really know where that ends up with the new structure, everything, but you know, the club's on an upward trajectory, and it's exciting times, and it's just nice that, you know, the fans can obviously get behind a winning team. It's tough for spectators, you know, they turn up and they pay the money, but you know, it's far easier to get the support of the fans when, you know, the lads are putting the effort in like that and winning games.
I know it's only early doors, but with the 4 games in, the 3 wins against big teams, how happy are you with the decision you've made to come towards them?
Well, I'm really happy. You know, it's a competitive club. You know, they finished high last year, so there was you know, wanting to progress this season. But the main thing for me was family were happy. Wife and kids come to all the games. They're looked after, and it's just a nice environment. And you know, like any work environment, 'cause it is work. Happy people perform better at work, and I think you can quite clearly tell out there that the boys have got each of us back and they're really happy in what they're doing. So, you know, and that turns these performances into points.
How much difference does it make to you? I mean, you've come from Featherstone, who, with all due respect, they were a side very much put together of a lot of known names, or have been in recent years, and a lot was expected of them. Whereas Bradford, you mentioned, there's a lot of up and coming players. You've got low-knees young lads who are making their way in the game. Does that feel different to you to play in a side that's made up of that kind of constitution?
I think I'd probably say, in contrast to the good years that I had at Featherstone, there was always the core nucleus of a group, and we always added players and whatever else. And I think probably looking at Bradford over the last 2 or 3 seasons, looking at it this year, they've got a core nucleus of the team that have played together, you know, for quite a few, either 2 or 3 seasons together, which is important. And then being able to add quality here and there to fill in the gaps, and then getting them to buy in, it just breeds success, and everybody, you know, like the positivity is contagious. So, you know, everybody buys in. We go do social things together. It is the making of what a successful team is. Everybody doing things together and having each other's back.